Welcome to another edition of Blighty Talks Bricks. For our listeners and viewers, particularly the viewers, you will notice that I'm not actually sitting on my very comfortable sofa. I'm actually sitting in the chair, so I'm in the hot seat, I suppose. And the reason being is we've decided to do things slightly differently. This is our wrap edition. This is our 10th episode of season 2. And so we decided, well, I didn't decide, my guest decided that we'd do it differently, and he decided that he would effectively interview me. So we now have role reversal. My interviewer today is someone I've known for about 12 years. He was a European Tour professional golfer. He still is a professional golfer, but probably applies his trade a little bit on the seniors tour. I think he's had an amazing career. He won 2 events, one being the European Masters in Switzerland and the other one being the Moroccan Open. He also was part of the England winning team, winning the Alfred Dunhill Cup at that very famous links St Andrews, where in the final they beat the might of the United States. He's also played in the World Cup to represent his country, so no mean feat there. And he's also got another little special accolade, is that he was the coach manager of the Great Britain and Ireland Olympic golf team and was part of that success in Justin Rose picking up the gold medal. My interviewer today is Jamie Spence, Sky Sports golf presenter, pundit, instructor. Jamie, welcome to Blighty Talks Bricks. Be gentle with me. And I'm now going to do something I've not done before. I'm going to throw them away.
Go on, chuck them away. Chuck
They're
them away.
Gone. I don't know where they went. I hope I didn't hit anyone, but they're gone. How are you?
Oh, good, mate. Thanks for having me, yeah. Looking forward to this. I like your top. That's just for me, isn't it? You know I'm a big Green Bay Packer fan.
I do, and it is just for you.
You're not an American football fan?
No, I don't get it at all.
You don't get it?
I tried to get it. I've tried to get into it, but I don't get it.
I've got to be honest with you, I'm obsessed with it now.
More than rugby and soccer?
Probably.
I'm saying soccer for you now.
No, not quite, but it's close. You know, it's close. I love all my sport like you do. We're going to come on to that later, though. How's this podcast going for you? It's going well, isn't it? I've listened to quite a few. I must admit, I'm surprised. It's pleasantly surprised. It's gone really well. Are you pleased with the way it's gone?
I have to say that I am shocked. I'll be perfectly honest, and I've said this in previous episodes. I don't actually enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. Jamie, I don't like the way I sound. I certainly don't like the way I look.
It's strange, isn't it, when you listen back to yourself? It's not the same, is it?
Well, it's not getting any better, though. That's the sad thing. We're doing more of these.
You get more relaxed, though. You're more yourself.
I don't think I have an issue with that side of it, because I like nice people. I'm outwardly going in my personality, opinionated, as you know. Got views on lots of things, so I don't mind that side. And the people I have, unlike you, are all fantastic.
How'd you get all these people on here, mate? It must cost you a fortune. Yes.
Well, that's the great thing is Lee Dixon's still sending me an invoice. I don't know why. No.
Good luck with that, Lee.
Yeah, you got no. Do you know what? I don't know. I mean, I've been humbled on that side of it. The people are.
You've supported so many fellas over the years, and guys and girls. You deserve everything you get, Steve, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, thank you very much, and like your time, I appreciate you're busy, and it's. I've been very lucky. That's been really humbling. That's been the best thing for me. Is, I've picked the phone up, I've sent WhatsApp messages, I've sent emails, and I've not had one no. Now these people are busy. We're not paying. We haven't got any money. If we had some money, I'd very gladly pay, but we don't have any money.
There's no money.
No money.
Oh,
sorry,
right.
mate. Sorry. Well, you should be paying me because you're interviewing me today anyway.
Now, why have you gone out and done a podcast? Because it's quite a leap, isn't it? You're putting yourself out there. It's not an easy place to sit here and be an interviewer and interview all these famous people and people from your business world. It's not easy. So what made you do it?
Passion, care. We are in the country's in recession, but that's not the real reason. The real reason is that we have a housing crisis. You and I are similar age. You and I have both become.
I'm going to come to that.
Grandparents, and I care about. I believe in Great Britain. I'm a passionate, caring royalist. I think this country is an amazing country, but I don't think it's in good hands. and our industry isn't turning over enough. We're not building enough property. And I remember coming across a guy that was fantastic for me, big name in our industry, Tony Pidgley. And he mentioned to me one day when we was just chatting, and he said, Blighty, if we don't put roofs over people's heads and we treat them like animals, they'll become animals. And I suppose in my senior years, I look back and I look to the future of youngsters today. And I think if they don't have roof over their heads, Tony's view is probably going to come right. So I wanted to get it out there. In my business, we don't have any bank funding. We don't have any shareholders. I'm certainly not woke.
No.
And people are scared to have an opinion, which is ironic, really, because woke is about views and opinions, yet you're not allowed views and opinions. And so a number of people in the industry said, Blighty, you should say something, you should get yourself out of there. And I put that down to some people in my business, particularly my son and his mate, Finn. They said, why don't you do a podcast? I didn't even know what there was, Jamie. So I didn't know what I was letting myself into if I did.
And have you found it therapeutic as well? Because we had lunch with Harry and Rob Lee, mate of mine, the end of last year, and you were in a mad space, weren't you?
I was in a bad place.
Say.
Yeah.
So you're into mental awareness and mental health and stuff like that. So has this been therapeutic as well for you to talk about stuff?
Absolutely. I think that I listened to something on the radio yesterday where Vinnie Jones was talking. He's doing something with the Samaritans. And he made a really good point. A lot of people have a problem coming out to their family and friends more than they do strangers. And I knew I was in a bad place. And I think when I look back, I'd struggled over in the past as well. And so,
COVID seemed to you're a bit like me. It grabbed me, and I know it grabbed you as well.
It did. I mean, I just
restriction of everything,
and being told what to do.
Yeah.
And I think the facts are coming out now. You know, I'm embarrassed in some of the things I did in COVID. I just felt like
mad, wasn't it?
Well, I followed the bear, really. Mm. You know, so COVID wasn't good. I don't believe in lots of ways that affected me, but it probably goes deeper than that. I'm an upbeat kind of character. I probably push things out of the way and said, "I'll get on with it." That was my upbringing anyway. So yes, the answer to your question is yes, definitely this has been good on that side of it.
Comes a point though when you can't deny it, can you? It becomes too much, doesn't it, for people?
Absolutely,
and
right.
You've just got to talk about it.
It really was sort of a breakdown.
Mm.
You know, I just had a situation, and the first people I reached out to was my family.
Yeah, that takes some doing.
But that was the hardest.
I bet.
That was the hardest.
Yeah. Now, listen, you just turned 60. I can't believe you're younger than me. You're not younger than me. How are you younger than me?
Well, that's only a number. I've had a tougher paper round than you, obviously.
Unbelievable. And you did something in your 60th that I would love to do. And you sent me the video. You had a special present in you. Tell everybody what you did.
So basically, one of the things that I wanted to do, I don't know why, when I turned 50, I was healthy and then found every illness in the world. Within 2 years, I knew 3 doctors. My eyes had gone out to have a hip replacement. Challenges about my heart, which I was amazed that they found one, but no brain problems. Wonder why that is. But when I got to 60, coming up to 60, I thought I wanted to do something different. I'm scared of heights. I'm claustrophobic. But as a kid, I always loved Spitfires. And I'm big into military. And I just thought, you know what, I want to feel what that experience is going up in one of those planes. Bearing in mind that I think the average age was between 20 and 22 for Spitfire pilots, with a life expectancy of 4 weeks. The other thing I found out
we forget, don't we?
We do forget.
We
do forget that. And the other thing I found out when I was walking around the museum, that the Spitfire only had 14 seconds of ammunition.
Yeah, it didn't have much, did it?
No, which I didn't know that. I thought watching the films you just kept going, but that obviously didn't work. But I just thought, I'm going to go and get that experience. I was petrified. I was even more petrified 2 days before when I found out you had to wear a parachute. How the fuck I would have got out?
How would you have got out?
Well, did you know, seriously, when the bloke put me in there, I thought, well, If it goes down, I've got no chance of getting out.
Now, did you get to shoot down a Stuka while you're up there?
Fortunately,
you can pay extra for that, can't you?
You can pay extra for that to chase you.
Yes,
but no, I did put the family in a chaser plane. That's where we got some lovely photography.
It was lovely
photography. No, I just thought, if I've got somebody chasing me or I'm chasing them, this is even going to be worse. I did do the old.
Did the loop? Did you?
Did the loop. That was no. That wasn't good.
It wasn't good?
No. He said, right, we've done that. Do you want to do another one? And I said, no, thanks.
Did you go over your house and all that? And you have a look
no, what we
did,
we went from Biggin Hill.
Yeah.
And we went down to the White Cliffs of Dover.
They come over my house, you know. You could have jumped out. You could have jumped out.
Well, if I'd known how to get out of the plane, how to operate the parachute, I would have done that.
Amazing experience, eh?
Unbelievable. I'm really glad I did it. Really glad. There was parts of it that made me nervous. My hands are sweating now just thinking about it. Over the moon I did it. God was great to me that day because the weather was glorious. We got lucky. The day before, the day after wasn't. Yeah. We got very lucky that way. Loved it. Glad I did it. But as soon as I got off of the plane, I felt humbled. And I just wondered if we went to all of those poor sods, those poor pilots, and said to them, you gave your life up to what we got today.
Freedom of speech though, isn't it?
Well,
freedom of movement
that's the thing why we've got a podcast, because we're losing a bit of that, aren't we?
Yeah, we
are.
No,
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I've got to apologise to all Stuka pilots out there. We don't want to offend anybody on this show, do we?
No, not at all.
Oh,
no,
definitely
no.
don't.
Well, I mean, so
what's your favourite war film? You must like your war film. What's your favourite movie?
I mean, Battle of Britain.
Battle of Britain's great, isn't it?
Battle of Britain.
Yeah,
but yeah, for sure.
Now let's get on to some more, other things. My son Chaz, as you know, he's running a London Marathon coming up.
Yep.
This show might go out after that, I don't know. You told me you've run, how many marathons you run? How do you run a marathon?
Well, that's what I've got.
Seriously?
I mean...
Seriously?
Things were slightly...
confirmation.
Things are slightly different now.
How many did you run?
So I only did 6 marathons.
6?
4 Londons, 1 Chicago, 1 New York.
Amazing.
But half marathons, wow, many. If I go back, you talk about the mental side, my hip went because of running. Road running. Bearing in mind, when I was road running, I was running along in a pair of Dunlop green flashes with a night cotton shirt. But when I used to get back,
trendy now. Very
trendy, yeah. But you don't want to go running 20 miles in them.
No.
But my nipples used to bleed. I mean, the running gear, the shoes are so much better today. But probably running was good for my mind then.
Yeah.
But no, so I did do 4 Londons.
Fair play. What was your best time?
3:30, 27 seconds.
That's very good. That's very. I am in awe.
You don't believe me? I can tell.
There's no way. No. I do believe you because you told me. But I find it. I wouldn't be able to do that. I feel I could do it. Maybe my knees are gone, but I've anyone who does the London Marathon, especially for the great charities out there. I know you support many charities. I presume that's what you did it for as well.
Every marathon I did was always for a charity.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Now let's move on to your work life.
Yep.
BBC. You never really explained to me what you do. I know you've got 4 parts of the business.
Well, I probably don't know what I do. So
you don't know what you do either. Should we move on to something else then?
No, I mean, listen, it's a business that it was 28 years of age.
How did you get into it, first of all?
By default. Found I wanted to be you, believe it or not. Well, I didn't. I wanted to be
No, you didn't. Trust me.
I wanted to be Nick Faldo.
That's even worse.
Sir Nick, by the way.
He's great now, by the way. As a player, though, he was so individualistic. I played with Nick quite a few times back in the day, just to digress a bit. Yeah. Brilliant to play with, actually, because he was so single-minded. Now he's come up, I think, as a brilliant broadcaster.
Well, the guys in America love it. No, so for me, was I moved from where we're shooting this in Shoreditch up to Hertfordshire. Broke a bone playing football. Teammates weren't bothered when I went off. Went for individual sport. Took up golf because I like the kit. And it just took me over.
You've got plenty of kit.
I've got serious... Danny, my golf pro, reckons I've got more kit than he's got in his shop.
I reckon you have as well.
So, no, I love... Listen, but, all the gear, no idea. I love kit. Really love kit. And I just love golf. Took to golf. Wanted to be a professional golfer, like lots of youngsters do. And realised pretty quickly I wasn't going to be good enough. Somebody that is still in my world today, a guy called John Pyle, he was the guy that said, why don't you come into property? And I went into selling new property, working on a site, and it just went from there, really. So I've run my own business for 28 years. It's tougher now than ever.
Every time I see you say it's tough.
Well, it's been.
That's when you're in Loch Lomond or Woburn or somewhere, or the Caribbean. You tell me how tough it is.
People are taking me now. I'm not taking them. Maybe they're paying me back, kind of thing. But no, it is tough. We've got a land business, a sales business, a recruitment business.
Tough because of what? Because the conditions put upon you, or just the margins are getting smaller, or the competition's fiercer? What is it?
I think it's all of those things. I mean, Brexit wasn't good for the industry because it stopped people planning. In any commercial business, when you've got uncertainty, it causes problems. And so Brexit caused uncertainty.
Still can't believe that went through, by the way.
Well, it'd be interesting because we talk about democracy. It did go through, and actually the government and the country didn't get their head behind that. So the democracy got challenged as much as anything else, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that came along. But then COVID came along. And what COVID's done, COVID say, people say, property did well. The main part of my business is apartments. And people now have got their head in a space, which I don't agree with, where they think they can work from home. So they don't need apartments.
Want a garden.
They want a garden because they want outdoor space. I mean, Everyone thinks of COVID. Everyone thinks of those glorious... I mean, what was it, 4 years ago today, we were sitting in our...
It was great for 3 or 4 months, wasn't it?
It was lovely, clear blue skies, rosé. I mean, my local post office, he loved it. He said he's never sold so much quality gear in all his life. It was just unbelievable. But those there, we are in a perfect storm now as we record this podcast today. Interest rates, energy costs, food costs, work ethic, uncertainty, a Conservative government, the worst Conservative government I've ever known, and I was a Conservative voter. I'm not now. And so we've got a lot of issues there that we need to address, which is part of the reason that I'm sitting here with all these people I've interviewed to try and get some acknowledgement that we need to look at our industry.
I'm going to come back to that, but what would you see as your biggest success
in terms of
your business? My business,
longevity.
Yeah,
28
I felt
years.
the same about my work as well. It's difficult to put one thing, isn't it?
28, very different world then.
You supported many people, looked after many people.
Do you know, one of the things I can say on this podcast, and I haven't said, I always used to like taking people on. I liked, not because I wanted to be the boss, I liked taking people on. I got a work ethic. It was lovely to see people's careers grow. The way that the employment law is now, it's a basket case. And I don't want to take people on now because it is so against employers. And
you're going to get yourself in trouble, aren't you?
Well, if you're Google, if you're Shell, if you're BP, you can deal with stuff. But small businesses can't deal with the employment law. It's wrong. I get it. If something's wrong, it's got to be addressed. If somebody's done something wrong, it's got to be addressed. But that has to work both ways. You know, people can come to their bosses now and say, you did this wrong, you did that wrong. And there's a process absolutely all over that. But when they make false allegations, there's nothing for them to lose. That can't be right. I'm a justice person, you know. I don't have any prejudice in my views, but they don't actually look at both sides of the coin nowadays.
So I'm going to make you Prime Minister for a week. What are you going to do?
Well, change my cabinet straight away.
Change the cabinet?
Straight away.
Yeah.
I'm going to certainly look at what Great Britain PLC makes.
We don't make much, do we?
Don't make much at all. I'm going to look at that. I'm going to actually sit there and look at where people think we're going to live. And I'm going to actually stop being... I wouldn't be a government that tells you what to do every day. I don't need the government to send me a text message to tell me that it's going to be windy tonight and put me underwear on and, you know...
Amber warnings everywhere.
Oh, Amber, I mean, Jesus, what is that?
No, it's weather.
And I don't need them to tell me to go into a wine bar and not have a large glass of wine. I know what I'm like when I've drunk a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
I don't need that. Give people some respect. And I think the other side of the coin is that I'd bring competitiveness back. You know, schools, we're not allowed winners.
Yeah, it's mad that, isn't it? Some of these non-competitive sports days they have now. You're allowed to excel in other areas of school life, but when it comes to sport, they don't want losers, do they?
No, do you know what is interesting? When I was in the Cubs...
You were in the Cubs?
I was in the Cubs. I was a good swimmer. I should actually have the different kind of jumper on.
You should have your certificate with you.
Well, actually, I've got my swimming certificate still to this day, but we didn't have anyone for our troop to actually have it go in the race. So I went in the race that was 3 years above me. Trust me, I came stone last. But the appreciation I got for coming stone last was better than the races I'd won in my own category. So we did accept that we had underdogs. We did accept people that lost. But now it's actually wrong to win. Yeah. And I don't get it.
No.
So that would change.
Yeah.
For sure.
What about the challenges? What would you do for your actual business? How could the government help your industry?
Well, we've had a good few people come on the show and talk about that. The planning system in this country is wrong. So we'd look at the planning system.
Can I just see, around where I live out in the sticks, as you know.
Yeah.
But they're building lots of different housing projects and everything like that. How does that work? Do you have to go through the council? Because all the infrastructure has to be right, doesn't it? The local roads, the schools. There's so much to think about. It's not just a case of building a load of houses and clearing off, is it?
No, it's not. And we've got many rules and regulations in place. We've got
too many.
But we've got to come to some extent here just to understand, to agree something. Me included, nobody wants a new development popping up next door to where they live. No. Let's be brutally honest about that. However, we can't keep making out that we're this wonderful group of human beings that we care when we're not providing enough property. So it just needs to be looked at in a different way. And we need to understand. You're going to get areas that get too much property being built on it. You're going to get areas that don't. But the politicians are in power, and they get in power by votes. They don't get in power by actually making things better.
No.
I think today politicians in the main are more selfish now than they've ever been. When I was growing up, I think politicians were more respected than they are now. But as much as I blame the government and as much as I blame politicians, the other side of the coin is the votes. People that are voting for them don't want more property. So we've got to look at our planning system.
A lot of NIMBYs.
NIMBY is a great word. And we're all guilty of a bit of that.
What about, you say more people working from home? Correct me if I'm wrong, it would appear to be when you go through the City of London now and other big towns and cities, that there's a lot of office space just sitting there doing nothing. What can we do with that? Or is that a misnomer? Am I
No. You're absolutely spot on. You're spot on. Let's go back to this time 4 years ago. It was lovely blue skies. The weather here was better than the Mediterranean, and people were being given money for nothing. You were being paid to stay at home.
Yeah.
You know. I was told about there's a term called fed up, and we've all used it. I'm not going to hit golf balls today, I'm fed up, or I'm just fed up today. And I once asked the question of a guy, and he could have been telling me a porky, but it made a lot of sense to me. He said it came from the Victorian days, and maybe older was his word, where they used to have birds of prey that for the big estates, the gamekeepers would send the bird of prey out to go and catch the hares, the rabbits, and actually keep some of the vermin down as well. And these birds of prey would come back and they would be fed a little tidbit as a reward for going, a bit like when you're training your dog, you know, to go and pick the stick up. But after a while, when the bird had too many tidbits...
Fed up.
So it stopped. When you pay people money to stay at home, all of a sudden it's their work right. This is my right. Well,
I think we both come from a background where our parents and people around about had worked really hard to get where they were. You know, my mum had 5 jobs back in the day, bless her. You know, my dad worked all the hours and he did a taxi in the evening and stuff like that. When you come from that environment, it's difficult to accept now, isn't it?
And that was exactly the same for me. I mean, my mum had 3 jobs.
Yeah.
My dad worked 6-7 days a week. If I wanted something, they would help me. But I had to go and earn it. I had a paper round.
You were late, by the way.
No, I was never late. No, I was never late. So one thing, I did put the wrong papers in the wrong places, that's for sure. And I did actually spend my money on sweets, so it didn't actually work out great that way. But no, the work ethic is, how can you have a civil service that doesn't go into work?
Seems unanswerable as well, doesn't it?
It is unanswerable, you know. But we are now. I mean, I've had people in the industry come to me, I've had people in my own business come to me and say, oh, well, I want to work from home now, it's my right. And I just get a contract out and say, I'm sorry, this is the contract I've got with you, this is the contract you've got with me. Where does it say that? It is your right to lead your life the way you want to lead it. I'm all over that. And if you only want to work 2 days a week, I get that as well. But you can't expect your bosses, or you can't expect the state to look after you when you want 5 days' money for 2 days' work.
So shall we say galvanise Britain with Blighty? What about that as a slogan?
Yeah, I think
have you thought of public office? You thought about it?
No, I don't.
You might. I bet you have.
No,
you haven't.
No, they wouldn't. I'm a dictator. I'm not. I'm rubbish on committees. Do you know what? I've been on very few committees in my life because
you're always right. You're always right.
Well, I'm not saying that, but if you are, I'm going to accept it. I mean, that's the way it is. I can't help that. No, generally speaking, I have a strong view, and I had a little spell on my, chairman of my parish council.
Can't see you doing that.
And you know, it was COVID that stopped it because I couldn't get people into. We weren't going to the village hall then. I think you have to galvanise. I mean, you've seen it. You've seen leaders in golf. You've seen leaders. You've dealt with top business people. But we're human beings. We need to look at each other.
They're single-minded.
But we need to look at each other and see the way our body language is and what we're doing. And now, why would you want to be an MP?
You remind me of a great friend. He's no longer with me. Ex-captain of the Neville Golf Club called Bill Little. He was a great guy. He was in the building trade as well. He said, Spency, I'm not always right, he said, but I'm never wrong. He said, and that's what you remind me of.
No, trust me, Emma tells me often that I've got that wrong.
Well, let's move on to lighter things. Let's talk about some sport. We've got to talk about the Arsenal, haven't we? Both season ticket holders of the Arsenal. Why the Arsenal? What's your Arsenal journey? What was your first game? Why the Arsenal?
Well, my parents moved from Shoreditch to Stoke Newington and then back to Shoreditch. And my dad was an Arsenal fan, and he took me along to when I was 4. So 1968 was my first game. I used to, with my mates, we used to kick a ball against the wall. We didn't have any grass. We'd kick a ball against the wall. It was very much predominantly football in the winter, cricket in the summer, again against the wall. The goal became a wicket. My dad went with his mates, and Arsenal was my team. And, when I was 7, just after my 7th birthday, I met my all-time legend, Bob Wilson. I can still see him bending down to say hello to me. Arsenal used to train at the back of the clock end on a cinder pitch then. It was my dad got me into it, and it just followed from there, and it's been a passion all my life.
First game? Do you remember that?
Arsenal, yeah. I got asked this question yesterday. Arsenal, Huddersfield.
Yeah.
Second game was Arsenal-Burnley.
What was that, 1950 what?
1950, yeah. 1968, yeah. No, second game was Burnley, and my first European game was Arsenal versus Grasshoppers Zurich. But football, Arsenal, just once it gets into you, doesn't it?
It's amazing as well because a bit like yourself, I've been lucky. I got to know Liam Brady pretty well. Liam,
been on the podcast.
I knew his brother. He ran a pub near me, and I met Liam when he was manager of Brighton, and he's my all-time Arsenal hero. So to call him a mate is something special. But we know Lee Dixon and Dave. It's quite surreal, isn't it, when you get to know these people? Yeah.
Totally surreal.
Your heroes.
Yeah, played golf with the goalie. I don't feel comfortable calling him the goalie because Ian Wright told me nobody can call him the goalie unless you played with him in goal. No, you're absolutely right.
He's a delight, isn't he, Dave Seaman? He's such a nice fella.
They're all lovely, and I've been lucky enough to, moving on. I mean, I'm going to swear, Tottenham. I know a lot of their legends. Pat Jennings, who obviously played for Arsenal.
But my brother's a Tottenham fan. My dad used to go to Tottenham one weekend. And
Same as my dad.
So it was different back in the day. It wasn't the animosity that the crowd these days.
No, and I think that changed when Arsenal won the double, to be honmet.
Yeah, probably did.
I think that changed it. But no, all of the celebrities and sports stars and the golfers I've come, met and had a drink with, had a cup of coffee with, they've always been lovely. I've not had one bad experience.
Just want to go back a bit. Talk about Bob Wilson, because what a man. I mean, what he's done with the Willow, losing Anna so early and unfortunately Meg's recently, but what he's done with the Willow Foundation, I think is absolutely amazing. You've been a big supporter of that.
It's when I first met him. Well, first met him when I was 7. I then met him at a function, and he'd just set up the Willow, and he couldn't talk to me about it.
No.
The emotion was so raw to him. An amazing charity. As you say, I've been a big supporter. I know you've done lots for them as well, and he is just one of life's loveliest. If ever I aspired to be someone, I would have liked to have been Bob Wilson. In that way, is recently, end of last year, Meg's passed away. Yeah. I was lucky to go to a memorial, and the turnout for that was, the good and the great of the football world for sure.
Going full circle to one of our first conversations, I've read his autobiography, Bob. It's an amazing book. I'd recommend anyone to read it. Actually, it's 2 of his elder brothers. One was a rear gunner in Lancaster, got killed in Second World War, and his other brother was a Spitfire pilot, which is what we talked about. Yeah, we're very lucky, aren't we? And for Bob to have his 2 brothers been lost like that, come through that, and what he's achieved in his life, it's incredible. And
he's still going strong.
Yeah.
He did something for somebody on recently on a video for me, and he's still going strong. He always leaves you feeling better after you've spent some time with him. And with all of his challenges that he's had and has got, he's just carried himself unbelievably well.
Did you go to the game last night?
I did.
Saka, penalty at the end there? I'm 50-50 on it, I've got to be honest with you. He stuck his leg out a bit. He falls over a lot, doesn't he?
To be honest, I think it would have been harder for me to clash into the goalkeeper than for me to walk round him. That's the bit I don't get.
Well, he could have scored.
He could have scored. That's exactly my point. So, I don't know. Is it? I'm not going to say it's a modern thing. I mean, for years, I think, well, not in the 70s, and I maybe crept into football in the 80s. People diving a bit, but no, not a penalty. That's not what I was saying at the time, by the way. And, and there was a few expletives in there. But I did actually see the handball, which around the section I was in. Actually, my son Harry was sitting with me, and I said, "They're going for a penalty." He's picked it up, and he went, "What?" And I don't think people, because the trouble is now, with the way they crisscrossed this ball across the 6-yard box, they wouldn't have done that back in their day, would they? No. But the goalkeeper rolls it out, and then a lot of the players do put their hand on it.
They kick it, yeah.
And I'm not defending him, but maybe didn't hear the whistle.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no game for him to do it, was there?
No. Very odd.
But no, I mean, we didn't. I don't think we turned up.
We looked like a team of 9-year-olds, I thought, chasing the ball last night.
I think that we've got a lot of games coming. We still are a young team. We're one of the youngest in the Premiership. We've got a young manager. We haven't been in this position for years in terms of the Champions League. By the time this podcast comes out, we'll be talking about stuff. It's all done and dusted.
We're still not out of it, but we might be.
But I got a funny feeling we'll be all right when we go back to Munich next
fingers
week.
Crossed. Moving on to other sport, because I know you like all sports as well. You love your golf. I hear you're a much better player than when you had hair. Is that true? You're a much better golfer?
Well, I lost my hair at quite a young age. So
you were a really good player then.
For me, golf's just got a little bit easier.
Well, as you got older?
Yeah, I think
that's because you're playing off 12 now and you used to play off 2. That's why. You got a lot more shots.
No, it's fun now. And you know what it's like. You've played when your mortgage is on the line, the kids are relying on you, your wife. You've been at the sharp end of that. Mine's now escapism to get away from the dramas and demands of professional life and everyday life. So to go and hit a silly little, I don't know why I took it up, by the way. Stupid game.
It's a great way of meeting people, though, isn't it? It's a great, and you play some great places as well.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. I mean, it's you mentioned my phone book. My phone book comes from golf.
Yeah,
literally. Charities. Golf does an amazing big contributor to charity.
Never ending, isn't it? Really, every year.
Never ending. We have lots of charity days, and people are so generous at giving up their time and giving up money. And I've been very lucky to play the game.
What's the best sporting occasion you've been to as a spectator? I know you've been to all sorts.
I have been to all sorts.
Which one sort of comes to mind?
I suppose. Well, they're all fantastic. I was at the Glasgow Derby this weekend. Yes. Just gone. That was
an amazing game.
That's it. Well, other than they can't pass to each other. Just a fundamental miss there. Wow. They should give them a little ring to put.
Is that atmosphere better than anything? Well, I suppose only Rangers fans, wasn't there, in the.
I've been lucky enough. I'm a Rangers fan. And
you can't be. You're wearing green, mate.
Well, yeah, no, I'm going to get in trouble for that as well. Trust me. Do you know what it is? It's I'm a member of a couple of golf clubs in Scotland. Football up there, maybe a bit like in the northeast, is a passion to them that's different to what we have down here. That is very much, there's an ingrained religion challenge there, and which unfortunately I'm not part of. But that atmosphere is electric, different. But for me, it's actually not a great story. It's my first cup final, 1972, when we lost 1-0.
Leeds, was it?
Leeds.
Alan Clark,
Yeah.
Jeff Barnett in goal.
Well, our man Bob got injured in the
Bob got
semi-final. But no, for me, I mean, I just remember going to that game with my dad, you know, young, everything looked so big. The noise was big. Yeah, fantastic.
Nice. Now, one last question, really. I'm going to ask you for a dream 4-ball, right, and a location, and I've written it down here, what I think you're going to say. I might be totally wrong. You can't include me.
Oh, right, okay.
Can't
Well,
include me.
I would have done that. I would have done, obviously.
So a dream 4-ball and a venue. I think I know. I've got an idea what it's going to be.
Well, I've never played the golf course, I'm going to say. If it's a golf course I've played, it's Turnberry.
Right.
If it's not, I'm going to choose Augusta.
Not played Augusta. I can't believe you haven't played Augusta.
I've been there.
You must know someone.
I'm working on it. I'm really working hard on it. That's why I've got the green on. He's watching. Augusta. Bob Wilson for sure.
Got that one.
Tiger Woods for sure.
Tiger. I didn't have that.
And then, believe it or not, I don't know if he played golf. Does he have to play golf?
It's your choice, mate. Your day. You can do what you like.
I would take Winston Churchill.
Well, he's brown. You can't have him. You've got to have someone who's alive. Like,
So it's got to be alive.
well, it's got to be alive. I mean,
okay.
Churchill would be a great
Got to
choice,
be alive.
obviously.
Okay, so, well, Nick Fowler.
Sir Nick. So
Sir
Sir Nick, Tiger, Bob Wilson, you, and Augusta.
Yep.
That would be some round, wouldn't it?
That would be a good round.
Well, I had you, Bob Wilson, your son Harry.
It was...
And Watty.
No, definitely not Watty.
Definitely not Watty.
No. And I might have had Harry, but I played with him at Loch Lomond this
that's
weekend,
true.
so he's out and away.
Oh, right. I had Loch Lomond as well, because that's supposed to be...
well,
you're going to invite me up there, aren't you?
I'm
We're
definitely
gonna
going
go
to. I'm definitely going to invite you up there this summer for sure.
Hey, listen, mate, it's been great talking to you. You're an absolute delight. Really pleased this is going well for you, this podcast, and been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. Jamie,
thank you very much. I do really appreciate your time. Much appreciated. Viewers, listeners, the Wrap season 2 is done. My good friend Jamie Spence been fantastic. He keeps the theme going of lovely people. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed this side more than I enjoyed that side. That's for sure. Thank you very much. Viewers, listeners, take care. See you soon.